where I warmly welcome Laura. As announced earlier, she has been with the network for quite a while, not only as a student, she also moved on to be a teaching assistant at two universities from the network. She was the global manager of the Sugar Network, so I'm her successor, and she's now on the corporate side at Nestle, who is also this year a corporate partner. So please welcome with me Laura Ferreira, who will share a war story on 10 things she would have liked to know before she joined Sugar.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you for the lovely introduction. It's a pleasure to be here today and actually recognizing some names that I've worked with in the past. I see Marco, I see Niels. Hello, guys. Nice to see you again. As Maya mentioned, my name is Laura. Hey, my name is Laura, and I actually got involved in the student network initially as a student. So I was a student in Porto Polytechnic and I did a project with the Melbourne Design Factory. After that, I got so in love with the network that I started being a teaching assistant, and I was one for a few years in Porto and also at the University of St. Gallen. In the meantime, I started getting involved in organizing the Global Networks events, and that was something that was also driving a lot of my passion for the network, was being the orchestrator of the chaos of sugar. So Maya, you know what I mean. So that was a lot of fun doing that, and actually that brought me a lot of learnings that I then brought to the industry. I worked at Swiss International Airlines as a passenger experience designer. So I was working on how to improve our passenger experience. Then Corona came and I thought, maybe this is not a good time to be working in aviation. So I went looking for a new job and I recently landed in Nestle, where I am an innovation methodology specialist. A few things about me. I love art. So the previous conversation was quite interesting, hearing how museums are adapting to showcasing their pieces in this new reality. And I love museums too. So that was quite fortunate to be here. So now I will start sharing my screen. As Maya mentioned, my talk is called 10 Things No One Told Me When I Was a Student. Exactly. You know, when you start being a sugar student, you think you have the whole world in your hands. And sometimes reality proves to be a bit messier. So I tried bringing some tips to you that you can hopefully use when you are in the course of your sugar projects. So this was a slide about me. We can skip that. We can skip that. So first thing I wish someone told me, but they didn't, is if you want to be a kick-ass sugar student, you need to make an effort to discover the uncomfortable. Why, you ask me? Well, because usually where magic happens is definitely outside of your comfort zone. There's scientific studies that say that you reach your optimum prime time of learning while you are outside of your comfort zone. So there's a very famous psychological study that is called the Yerkes-Dodson law. It's an empirical study that is describing how arousal or stimulation of your brain synapses is improving or decreasing your performance, whether in your life, in your work, or in your learning experiences. I'm sure many of you have heard about the comfort zone, and that's the yellow zone, or how I like to call it, boredom. So this is when you don't get new input and your brain is not being stimulated to learn or to overcome its usual capacity. Then you have the red zone, which is the stress zone, or let's hope we never get to this one. It's the point where you receive so much information in your brain that you don't have the capacity, whether physiological or emotional, to deal with that information. So that causes a lockdown and that is induced by anxiety and stress, and you cannot perform. So the optimal zone, it's this zone where you step a bit outside, one step at a time, of your comfort zone. And this is where usually the magic happens. I here bring you an example of how you can go a bit outside of your comfort zone without overstepping to the stress zone or without becoming too comfortable. So this picture is a picture I took during a project that I did for Swiss Airlines, and the people from this project were not very familiar with innovation processes, and we did a few sessions together. Um, and we were doing a brainstorming session, and we were achieving quite interesting results, but um, not outside of the box like they asked me to. So they came to me and said, "Look, we really want to have innovative results in our project," but they were just sitting down writing post-its. So I said, "Okay, let's put you a bit outside of your comfort zone. Now, let's all stand up and walk around the company and do a walking brainstorming session." So you cannot imagine their faces when I told them this. They were not willing to do that. So they are not used in big companies in the industry. People are not used to show this fragility or this creation process in between. So usually what happens is when you develop projects, you show the finished content, so the slides or something. So working outside of the room was very shocking for them. But then in the end of the session, after they stepped a bit outside of their comfort zone, they were very smiling and actually happy to make the change and seeing how it worked out in the end. And speaking of change, well, I'm pretty sure someone already told you this, but I want to repeat it. Change is hard, like really, really hard. You can never underestimate how difficult it is to change mindsets, how difficult it is to change the ways you've been doing things before. So it's not only within companies that this is hard, but also when you are doing external consultancy projects or when you're trying to change people's ways of doing things within yourself, so within your student team. It's also very hard. And here today, I bring you this example from Silampos. So the student team, I was a TA of this team in Porto. This team did a wonderful job exploring their solution space. So they did all the good research. They read a lot of documents. They interviewed. Okay, sorry, technical problems. They interviewed a lot of people during their project, and they came up with very interesting insights for this company that is called Silampos, that is making pots and pans. The thing is, their project was not a pot or a pan. It was something entirely different. So what they proposed to the company is that they would make a washing machine for pots and pans. Even though they did all the right research and they had all the proof that this would work very well in the market and that the users were waiting for this, the company didn't react too well to this change. So this amount of change was overwhelming for them, for the company, even though they came to us and asked for disruptive innovation. One matrix that could help you negotiate what kind of change uh, your liaison is willing to compromise is the action priority matrix. So this is a matrix that can help you make decisions on how your project is going. So you will need to speak to him in a way that he understands and in the language of corporate people, corporate liaisons, and they very well understand matrices. And this is a matrix that combines the impact that you want to have along with the effort. So you need to ask them. So the project that we saw before from Silampos would be something that I classify as a major project, something really big that is going to fundamentally change the workings of the company. But innovation is also done within the space of the quick wins. For instance, if you are trying to change the world, sometimes it helps to do small steps that require a little effort that will then reach to a big impact. Speaking of quick wins, that brings me to the topic of build on the top of existing work. So not all innovation starts from scratch, and not all design thinkings are starting from zero. Most of the times, these companies already have quite a lot of research that they've done before, and I've witnessed some projects that kind of went sideways because their corporate partner forgot to tell them about some other projects they've been running. And then the students just repeated whatever the company has been doing before. So really make sure to ask if there's existing work from before, because it's way easier for you as student teams to stand in the shoulders of a giant. And this is an example that I brought from my work at Swiss. So this is from a different project team. This was a project team that was trying to deliver a new digital experience for our customers. And our company, so Lufthansa Group, had done in the years before an amazing study that collected information and data from over 20,000 passengers. So we just took that information and use it as a starting point for the insight generation of our project. So this was included in our knows and don't knows chart. So you don't need to start from scratch. And actually, this will help you further in the project to come up with reliable information that is connected to the company's ways of working. This is another interesting project that we had back in Porto. This is with IKEA Industry. IKEA Industry, maybe you've heard about this before, I'm not sure, but IKEA Industry is a company that is part of the IKEA group that is taking care to manufacture the IKEA furniture. So they're not designing it, they're manufacturing it. And these guys, what they did was something really smart. So they did a lot of research within IKEA, and they tried to understand how the machines from IKEA are manufacturing their furniture in order to come up with an innovative solution that is environmentally friendly and organic. And because they did such a thorough research into IKEA's existing frameworks and existing processes, they came up with a solution that was super innovative and was actually very close to being invented. So basically, they figured out a way to put organic materials inside IKEA flat pack furniture, and by using fungi. So this was a really interesting one. I'm sure maybe Andrea already talked about this before. No? The first thing that you should know, and that was really shocking for me, is that disruptive innovation is expensive. Not only it is expensive, it's important too, and you will know why. Disruptive innovation is really expensive because once you do this sort of innovation that is trying to break the market or break the rules of your company, you really need to do big bets. You need to do it all in so that your team has the capacity and the resources to explore new ideas. And one example from this is the Facebook Area 404. So when I was organizing some events from Sugar in San Francisco, we had a very interesting company visit. I'm sorry to keep you guys jealous because you cannot do them today. But some of these examples are from the former world before Corona. But this was a very cool company visit we had to Area 404. And what I find interesting about this picture and about this visit is that this thing that you see, this man holding this gray silver thing, um, is a hardware piece that was developed in Facebook. But if you think about the premise, is Facebook a software company building hardware? And why are they specializing in such weird looking pieces? Well, the reason is that this Area 404 is a space, it's a team that is part of Facebook, and they only do hardware research. So this software company is putting a lot of money, and I cannot even tell you how much, but like a lot, into looking into hardware topics. And the reason why they do this is so that they can keep up with the way the world and the technology is exploring, and maybe when they are looking and developing these new technologies from hardware, maybe they can use this technology for some of their future infrastructures that Facebook may be building. Who knows? Well, this is a very cool sentence from a French writer. He was a colonist many, many years ago, and he wrote, Plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose. If you translate this to English, it means the more it changes, the more it stays the same. So even though disruptive innovation is really important for you to be doing with your companies and your future work, everyone will also be doing the same. So if you innovate, if the other companies are innovating, it's all a big space of innovation where everything is changing. So if everything changes, everything stays the same, and your company will be again at a disadvantaged position. And this brings me to the innovation dilemma. So this is a pretty well-known book in the innovation topic. And one of the things that I really found interesting in it is the difference between sustaining innovation and disruptive innovation. Basically, those two types of innovation are following the same pattern. So most of the time, when a company is coming up with a new business, they are usually based and starting with the functionality part. Then they are developing more and more the functionality or the technology they found, and they focus on making it reliable, stable for the customers. After that, they will look into the convenience side of things. So how easy is it for the user to use it and get access to this new technology we developed? And then after every detail is figured out, the only way you can compete with other companies is by price. So usually this is how competition is working inside companies, and these are the biggest differentiators for products. What happens is that when you are an existing business and you find a new functionality, new technology that then you're developing and working really hard to make it reliable, at the same point in time, someone else will be discovering another technology, and they will be following exactly the same process. So, and it's at that point where you think you can relax and be in your comfort zone as a company that you reach the dilemma zone. So you need to start again and see how you can innovate. So this advice is not only valid for you, students, future innovators, but also for companies. Guys, get out of your comfort zone. 5. This is, I think, for me, one of the most important things I got out of Sugar. Support your colleagues and build a network. I know that you're all working in your project teams and that you're all really focused in solving your project, and it's very complex. You have this liaison that is nagging you, and then you have your teachers that are telling you to do this, do that, and then you have to work with a team that is in the other side of the world, and oh my God, how are you going to fix this? don't forget that around you, you have a network of colleagues, of people that think the same way that you do. And building this network and establishing these connections is really fundamental for your future work as an innovator. Whether you will go for the industry, whether you're staying in academia, whatever that you are doing, rely on your network. Ask support from them, ask for help, ask advice, or just grab a beer with them. So I bring you a video that is showing how class of 30 something students all united to shout for just two guys that were in the paper bike.
It's not a sprint. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
Yeah, so all those guys were cheering for these two Avengers here. One of the other lessons you can take from this video is that sometimes you have to shift gears and you have to exchange tasks with your colleagues, and that's exactly what they did there. So this is a video from, I think, 2 years or 3 years ago, where we did a paper bike race in the global kickoff in children's school. So those were the things we did in the past with sugar. Okay, the sixth thing nobody told me, and I wish someone would have, is trust in your work. You're awesome. Don't ever let anyone tell you, oh, but you're just a student project. What do you know about innovation? No, don't let them say that to you. You guys are highly trained, highly skilled individuals that are going through a very extreme process of learning, and you will achieve amazing outcomes that sometimes outperform whatever exists right there in the market. And one example is one of our teams from the University of St. Gallen did a project with BMW, which is called Iris. And it's a very complex project where they try to figure out a way to reduce errors inside manufacturing stations in BMW. And after that, they started their own startup, which is called vSense, seeing the unseen. And now they're showing what they got to the world. So trust in yourselves. Don't rely on other people's opinions. The seventh thing I wish someone told me, well, they told me, but I just didn't listen, is get real and fast. So the faster you put your prototypes into life, the faster you put your ideas into the material world, the more insights you'll get. And now I bring you a picture from my own project as a student. And this is a prototype that we did towards the end of the year. So this was, I think, 1 month or 1.5 months to go to the end of the project. And our challenge was to find a new way of commuting in the urban environment. And it took us a lot of time, a lot of discussions to reach to this point. But by the time that we prototype this mechanism, from here, this very rough prototype that was just a mesh of all of our team's ideas together, from here to this, it was a very short amount of time. So once you put your ideas out there and you work your way from low resolution prototypes to high resolution prototypes, you can see that even though the progress may seem slow for you at the time, when you look back, it's crazy the amount of things we managed to do in such a short time. So this thing that you see here is, I think, 3 or 4 weeks after this cardboard thing I showed you. So get real and do it fast. The sooner you do it, the more learnings you get. So this is a picture from one of, so you remember I showed you a picture where I said we use data. This is from the same project team. And I was guiding them in their process of innovation into delivering a new digital experience for Swiss. And after a few sessions, I told them, hey guys, we need to go outside and we need to do interviews. To which they told me, what? Are you crazy? We already have the data, we have data from 20,000 customers of ours. Why do you need to do interviews? I told them what most of you will hear again and again in the sugar project is trust the process. So I made them go outside. They went to the airport. We organized a session where we welcomed a few guests, a few passengers from Swiss, so real paying customers from our company. And I made these very shy developers talk to the customers, just ask them what they think, how they experience the digital part of our products, what do they see, what are the biggest pains, what do they improve. And even though we mostly confirmed the things we got from the 20,000 other questionnaires, the energy and the insights we got from the interviews were so cool. And the project team was so excited to work on it that all the effort for getting real, for talking to people, and just going out there and asking the difficult questions really ramped up the project's results. The eighth thing I have to tell you, and that really nobody told me, this is for real, nobody told me this, is don't overestimate the messy part of innovation. I'm sure you've all seen this very pretty picture that innovation is very complicated. It's not a linear process. It's a confusing process where you go from prototyping to interviewing back to defining and scoping and need finding. Whatever these things, whatever order these things are happening, you will reach to a solution that is hopefully straightforward. So I'm pretty sure you all know this, so I'm not going to repeat it. Your process of innovation is happening within this circle. What they don't tell you is that outside of your circle, there's a bunch of other things happening. So the people that are sponsoring your project have other stakeholder needs. There may be strategic shifts. There may be budget cuts. There may be internal processes that get in the way. Or even worse, you find that your problem is even bigger than what you thought it was. So really don't overestimate in the real world. So when you start doing innovation within your job or within your consultancy, after you finish a sugar project, always allocate time for even messier innovation processes. Because what you will find in the industry is even messier than what you're experiencing right now in sugar. So really allocate some time for that. But to keep you hope and so that you're not crying at the end of this talk, when things seem impossible to fix, change perspective. Don't worry. Sometimes all we need to do is just look around and see how else you can, how can you fix your problem. So this is an example of a workshop that I did in Ghana. So this is called Impact Week Ghana. I was a senior coach there. And we had a project team that was, again, brainstorming. I don't know why all these problems happen when we're brainstorming. Was brainstorming, and I had a team of 6 people that could only come up with 4 ideas. So what I did is, well, guys, now everybody, let's lie down on the floor and ideate. And that's what we did. So we just stayed on the floor and ideated together. And this change of perspective really helped the team come up with more ideas and to loosen down the the walls they had in front of them. So this really helped the team to unlock their creative power. And the last thing I have is please have fun. Really important. And second most important thing of the project, of the sugar project, is have fun. Don't forget to just enjoy your time, and this is going to be one of the coolest times of your life, so just enjoy it and yeah, take it as it comes. Thank you. If you want to connect with me, this is a QR code that sends you straight to my LinkedIn if you're interested in linking. And yeah, do you have questions for me?
Thank you, Laura, so much. You were ahead of time. I was so focused on all your good tips that I missed to add the link in the chat. I will do that while we talk. Yeah, are there any questions you guys have to a really well experienced design thinker coach who has done it all, especially when you share all your experiences? Now you have the chance to ask Laura any questions you might have. She might give you good examples on how to go about certain topics. For sure. Interesting, Laura, to hear about your experience around the globe and how you put people on the ground so they can change their point of view. And I think that's not only for the sugar program a really interesting, or for the work with design thinking. I think sometimes just laying on the floor to change your perspective can help you solve problems and ideas. Maybe you can share a little bit more about the Impact Week. I heard that's around the globe, I think.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So the Impact Week is an event that is promoted by several big companies. So when I was part of it, I was part of Swiss, that is part of the Lufthansa Group. And the Lufthansa Group is one of the main sponsors of this event. And they work together with local universities around the globe. And they bring 2 weeks of design thinking capability building to the local students. And there's 2 layers of innovation going on there. So there's the students that are from the university, and we also scale up people from the industry locally, and also from the teachers that are teaching at those universities. So, and we usually are working in projects that are related to local issues. So we have industry partners that are bringing real life projects so that we can work on them all together. For instance, one of the topics we had in this Impact Week in Ghana was waste management and water management. So it was really cool. Now they are doing virtual Impact Weeks, so they are doing it all around the world. So in the old days where we could travel, we would go to the locations, but now they're doing it virtually, which even makes it more globally connected, I think.
For sure. So if you're curious to hear more about the Impact Week, you can find a lot on the internet, but I'm sure Laura can also connect you. So as you just saw in the chat, I put the link in there and you can connect with her, and who knows, maybe you also going to be somehow supporting the design thinking movement around the world through some of the connections you collect here. Laura, so thank you so much for giving us this talk about the 10 things you would have liked to know before. I enjoyed it a lot, and I think seeing some people now clapping their hands already, that they enjoyed it a lot as well.
Question maybe?
Oh, of course. I didn't see any question. Sorry,
No,
Chum.
I just trying to interrupt now. So I don't know if I missed this part, but you said the number 10 is the second most important thing. Have fun. What is the number 1 most important thing?
It's the 5th thing, is build your network.
Oh, okay. All right.
If you want, I can send you the slides. Does that help?
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, how about maybe you share it with me, Laura, and I can add it to the general like we have a folder with all the links. That's actually a good bridge. So if you guys all go into Woofa under resource, under material, I uploaded the link to the folder with all the slides for you guys, as well as the link to the YouTube playlist where you can rewatch all the videos. So we didn't match them to the specific session. You can just go click on the YouTube link and rewatch it, parts of it or all. And if you feel like there's something missing, and so our YouTube list is in the working mode. So we're adding more and more links as we go. But if you feel like there's something missing, message me and we'll make sure everything will be there. And yeah, good. Then I think questions have been answered. Thank you again, Laura. Please join me now for big applause storm. And via the chat or visually or with emojis, whatever you can find. Thank you so much, Laura. We appreciate a lot what you have done for the network and what you continue to do.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.